All right, recording is started.
You're there.
We are here in week 3. Where's my options? What I want to do. Okay, I heard a couple other people just pop in. So I want to just give a few overview in my starting points here as you are working on this area here, posting. As you see, I disabled the waiting room, so that means you can come in and get started with class even if I'm not there, because people come in a little bit early sometimes, and so I just disabled the waiting room for this class, and that is a dangerous thing because people are doing what's called Zoom bombing. So I'm taking a chance here that you've not shared the link to class and no one's out there just waiting to Zoom bomb our class with some ridiculousness. Hopefully Creative Writing 1 isn't on some a Zoom list. So if we do have an issue with Zoom bombing, if that happens, I will enable the waiting room again. I learned my lesson. So that's why you can currently come in without waiting for me. Any questions about that? All right, so, and I'll ask one last time before I get started. Any questions before we get started with class this week? All right, Katie.
It's not so much a question, but just letting everyone know that there's 19 practices in chapter 3.
God help us all.
Yeah, I think in some of them there's like 20 something, or they're a lot now.
Yuck. And Jamie Miller still doesn't have the textbook yet. I sent him an Amazon link to buy it.
The bookstore has been literally giving me fits because they let me fill it all out and stuff in order, and then they're like, "Oh, sorry, we don't accept your payment offer."
Okay, this is my solution. If you are having issues still getting the book, go ahead and send me an email and I will do my best to fix the problem, because I don't think it's too many people. So instead of waiting, just send me an email.
I'll get it solved.
Because we have to keep chugging along here. So, and again, I'll repeat, given the numbers that I've given you for the practices, if my numbers are off, there's no worries. Especially if I said there are fewer than there actually are, you're fine. If they're 19 and I said there were 12, you can do any 12. So no worries about that. Like I said, the main part is making sure you choose one of the writing projects. So they have numbers. I didn't have to count them. So no worries about that, Jazz. Okay, so today's mini lesson is going to be about, well, I'm going to go over some specific writing techniques and tools and terms. We're going to look at them in this example, and then I'm going to set you to do some of this work on your own. Let's see. All right, and I don't see any more hands raised. All right, so this activity is called Grenade, and it's really about a song that I heard that was stuck in my head, and it's what is his name? Bruno Mars. Bruno Mars's Grenade. And I don't know when this came out, but it's been quite a minute now. But when this song came out, my daughters were teenagers and they kind of liked this sappy song. Raise your hand if you've never heard of the song I'm talking about. This Bruno Mars song. So in the participants area, if you've never heard of this song, raise your hand. I can see how many people have been spared this. Oh, okay. I can only see 1, 2. and I'm going to say, hey, I'm sorry if you really love this song, because I'm not going to talk nicely about it. But luckily, music is just an opinion anyway. So not many people, most people have heard this song. 1, 2, 3. So I only got 3 hands like never heard this song. Okay, if you have heard this song and you love it, can you respond with yes? Just so I can get a sense of how many people I may be offending shortly. So I'm sorry, 3 people. I only need you to say yes if you absolutely love this song. All right, I see. Oh, okay. People are changing their minds. You can love it, because I'm pretty sure there's music that I love that people talk horrible about. All right, so 3 people. To those 3 people, I truly apologize. But we'll get started now. So this activity is called Why Is This Song Stuck in My Head? So I'm just gonna go over the activity, and I'm gonna ask you to kind of go along and do the activity as we go along. So you only have it in front of you. I didn't send you this ahead of time. I don't think we need that much for you to actually turn this in as an official thing. Plus you'll have access to it. So the question is, I'm assuming that a lot of people have probably experienced having a song in their head that they didn't do anything in your power to actually try to remember or learn it. It's just out there, and somehow you find yourself singing along to it. So if any of you have had that experience, can you say yes? So if you've ever experienced your brain taken over by somebody's music, okay. All right, good. I'm in good company. About more than half of you have had that experience. And for me, it's okay if it's a song I like, but when it's a song I don't like, I'm upset. And so this Bruno Mars song, and I guess this is like the hook or the chorus, and that's usually the part that we will unconsciously learn. And so this is the hook or part that I found myself singing when I heard this song. And I don't like the song because I guess when I listened to it, I was at a time in my life where I was already old. I'd already been married like 20 some years, and I'm just not that romantic. This song is about how this guy is so over the top in love that he will do anything for this woman who's not been nice to him. He will even catch a grenade for her. And I'm like, oh yeah, like that will never happen. So not to me. So what I decided to do, since I couldn't get the song out of my head, I tried to figure out how, and I believe I did the research a while ago, that Bruno Mars actually did write his own songs. So, you know, some people don't write their songs, they just songs about other people. But I believe Bruno Mars did actually write this song. So he is known as a songwriter. So as songwriters, you are creative. It is a realm of creative writing. It's like poetry, it's storytelling, it's all that stuff brought together. And there are some really famous songwriters, and they use the same kinds of tools that we're looking at this semester and that are presented in the seller's text. So what I set to do is to try to just analyze the part that was in my head and figure out what he was doing. So what I did was I looked at the pieces that I could easily recognize that Mars is using in this song. So one of the tools or techniques he uses is alliteration, right? And that's a device where the first consonant sound or any vowel sounds in a word or a syllable are repeated. And that repetition can be located at the beginning of words or inside of words. So poets use it to audibly represent the action that is taking place. This is a technique or a poetic device, or I like to call all of them writing devices, because you can actually use this in prose writing too. So you can compare what alliteration does with assonance, and also just the general idea of rhyme. These links, when you look at this later, these links should take you to the terms I found, definitions for these terms that's in the Poetry Foundation's glossary of literary terms. And if it doesn't take you there, you can go to Poetry Foundation and look them up yourself, because some of them are broken and I'm trying to fix them, but they just continue to break. So that's the source. So if you think about alliteration and what it does, the repetition of consonant sounds or vowel sounds. So the activity is, what are the examples of alliteration in this part that was stuck in my head? I'm not going to ask you to report that out loud, but just take note. We're going to keep looking at this same section of the song and asking different questions about it. So what are examples of alliteration here? Repetition of consonant sounds or vowel sounds that can be at the beginning of the word or inside the words themselves.
Mad woman, bad woman.
Well, yeah, what I want to stress here is that he uses this technique. Sorry,
I thought you were asking a question.
Oh, no, I want you to record for yourself, because this is mostly just going to be a presentation and you can go back and look at this. I'm not going to have us do on the spot the activity. I want us to go through it, and then I'm going to set you to do something similar on your own. So yes, he uses this repetitive consonant sound and these also short vowel sounds, and that sets up a pattern. When you add what the writer is doing also to the music, the composition of the music, you get this additional powerful, easy pattern that many of our brains just pick up. And so even though I dislike this song, I could pick up this pattern and learn it. So he uses alliteration. And then the next thing I saw that I know for my brain, how this song got into my head, is just his repetition of similar vowel sounds in general. And that repetition, we can think about how alliteration works, how this idea called dissonance works. And I'm just gonna go ahead and see if my clicking is gonna work. So dissonance, and as you see, this link is working for me right now. Takes me to the Poetry Foundation's just overview of what this poetic term is. And it also gives us really good examples. And it gives you better links that they pay somebody to keep working. So you can also go ahead and quickly look at go back and look at assonance. So he uses alliteration, and he also uses this this other term that disrupts some rhythm or flow. So, and I did this activity just basically because I wanted to know why this song, why I couldn't get it out of my head. So where's my, I think I have too many things open and I just got lost. See, cancel, this is not the version. Too many things open, more Salata. Yeah, okay. And so what I would normally do is say, hey, now can we go find examples of dissonance in his rhyme scheme too? And that's when something gets disrupted or broken. I'm not gonna ask you to do that part. Rhymes. There are so many different rhyme schemes. So rhyme is just, it's not something you can just look up and say, oh, I know it, because there are different types of rhyme schemes, right? So rhymes are classified into different types according to the pattern that they create and where they are placed in a line or a stanza, and also according to the degree of similarity that they exhibit in their spellings and sounds. So in this, there are two major rhyme schemes, masculine and feminine. A masculine rhyme scheme, the rhyme falls on a single accented syllable, and they tend to be short. So heat and eat, you can hear, or you can kind of pick out if you were to put a little accent mark where the which syllable is getting the emphasis. However, the feminine rhyme scheme is a little more complicated. It has 2 syllables. One is stressed, one is unstressed. So Mary, Terry. The first one in these 2 cases are the first syllable is Mary is unstressed, and the second one is. It's just which one, when you say it, Mary, where does the emphasis fall? And so in his piece, he also, the question here that I do want you to think about is, does this piece of the song use masculine or feminine rhyme schemes? Which, does it use both, or is one more dominant than the other? So think about that. Gonna go back up to this one. So 2 types of rhyme scheme, masculine, feminine. And for the simplest look at this, we're looking at like words with 1 short, usually accented syllable, and then for the feminine, there's usually 2. One is stressed and unstressed. So with this part, I'm going to stay here for like 10 seconds or so and have you think about what rhyme scheme I keep forgetting. What rhyme scheme do you see?
Anyone else hear that?
Yeah, that's me. Because I keep forgetting to turn my phone off every time I start class. So I break my own rules every time I start class. But it's done now. All right, by show of hands, do you think, and this by show of hands, not hands, by yeses or nos. So by yeses, do you think the rhyme scheme here is masculine? And I'm just gonna ask how many of you think the rhyme scheme is masculine, how many of you think it's feminine, just to get a sense. So is this section using more of a masculine rhyme scheme? Remember, looking for rhyme schemes that emphasize 1 syllable versus 2. And that's gonna count every time you see a rhyme scheme. So let me check and see what my numbers are now. All right, 13 people. Oh, no, all right, the majority you do see the masculine rhyme scheme. Yep, and I'm gonna agree with that. So that's what's going on. So when you think about hearing the short, sort of accented rhyme schemes, that's kind of a intense feeling. And when you add like the complements of music that does the same thing, this is another reason, at least in my brain, why my brain easily picked up on these lyrics in a song I really didn't like. Because it's simple and it's simple rhyme scheme, so it's stressed and it's easy to create that pattern in my head and find myself singing along with this rhyme scheme. So there are a few places where he has the writers used a feminine rhyme scheme, but they don't outweigh the number of times a masculine rhyme scheme is used. So if I were talking about this piece in the rhyme scheme, like, hey, yes, this piece uses 2 different types of rhyme schemes, but the dominant one is masculine with short accented syllables. So when we're thinking about reading and reading critically, also thinking about what kinds of things do you in your brain pick up. This may be something that other people pick up in their brains. And I'm just gonna say that really great songwriters, they know all of this stuff and they create songs that are hits because they kind of know how these things work. And then we have objectification. This is where everyone pretty much knows objectification. It's just when you treat a living person or a living thing, mostly human beings, as if they are objects, that you can do whatever it is you want to do with them. So the idea that he uses objectification, this one I'm going to ask about. Does anyone know where and how objectification is used in this section? And if you think you know where objectification is, raise your hand. All right, I see a couple people. All right, Zane, can you share where you think is the example of objectification?
Sorry, I had the yes on. I don't see it.
Oh, all right. Let's see. Who else had their hand up? Ranisha, do you have an example of where you think? Oh, your hand isn't raised. Jamie K.
I mean, it's not really like he's comparing her to an object in a sense, but the fact that he's like, mad woman, bad woman, like, that's all you are, you're just bad. So it's not like he's saying she's like an object, but she's more of just like bad and crazy and mad.
Yes. So the thing is, it's a little bit tricky here. And you're gonna have to cut me a break because I probably spent way too much time thinking about this song because I felt like it was my nemesis.
sorry.
Objectification does come with the word that. Because when we're talking about people, we wouldn't use this word. People are not that. People are what?
He, she's, theys. Oh, wait.
And or who? Yes.
Sorry, my bad.
So it's very subtle here. So the use of the word that kind of makes her this thing that's unchangeable, and she is such like a non-human in her not ability to give him love back that she actually knows the devil. So these two are very subtle comparisons, but they give her this like not really human quality because she's so cold-hearted and he do all this stuff for her. So the fact that she hangs out with the devil and he uses the word that, this is very, very subtle, but I like it. This is cool. I can see this. I can see how I can make her not an endearing person.
I think it's not the word that's. I think it's what. That's just what you are instead of that's just who you are.
Well, I'm sorry. Yes, you're right. It's this phrase, and it is also the fact that any person who just kind of can hang out with the devil has some like unnatural human soul qualities to them. So both those things are going on here. So yeah, I misspoke. It is the what. So this is what you are, because people are not what's, they're who's or some other person pronoun. And then we have personification. And this is where you then give human qualities, right, to abstract. And I just threw this term in there because kind of goes along where you're talking about objectification, also personification. And then this cool, like Latin word for it is fun to look up. And it's kind of also does play in with the term of her relationship with the devil, because that's not like a normal human quality, but it's not quite the personification of the devil. Is like the objectification of the person. So my personification here is like her relationship with the devil is getting more like this little weird comparison. And so the more I looked at this, I'm like, hey, these are really cool terms. And then I just threw this one in there too, because hey, we're talking about objectification and personification. And I was just wondering, like, well, what is it when you focus on animals? And that's not the personification of animals, it's this anthropomorphism, is when you turn animals, give them that sort of human quality. And so that came up just because I was looking at these other two. And so that's my overview of like how I try to critically read and understand, so get a better understanding for like why this song and what this writer was able to do to put this song in my head. The other thing I did, and what I have here on the board is actual homework, So I want you to start thinking about, and if you can do the same thing with a song. Now, it doesn't have to be a song that you don't like. It could be a song that you do like. But the idea is just trying to see how the creative writing techniques and tools writers use in this type of creative writing. I just focus on the songs I don't like because it just haunted me so much. And so after I did this piece, this is the example of what a homework piece would look like, that you'd be able to explain why a certain song was stuck in your head. And so this is my short explanation. Like, I did a lot of work, but this is my like brief explanation for why I start to understand why this song got stuck in my head. And so as a writer, I could possibly think about these tools and these building blocks myself. So for homework, and I don't say that I would like to talk about this on Thursday, but Thursday we will be talking about the writing projects you selected from chapter 2 and chapter 3. So I don't know if we're gonna get to this. It may spill over till next week. But it's a way to help you look at some other writing techniques outside of what's in the book.
Question.
Yes.
We were supposed to submit chapter 2 writing project, correct?
Yes.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah, and the writing, the practice logs too.
Yeah, but you should still have access to that stuff. Yep.
Could you put that previous slide back up, the homework one? I want to take a snapshot of that.
Yeah.
Just a second.
So our discussion of the writing projects may not always fit in with when you submit them. So so the other thing I actually did with this piece, that I'm trying to find it, because after doing this, I appreciate what Bruno Mars did. I appreciated him as a songwriter. I still don't like the song because I'm just not romantic. So I rewrote the song from a perspective that I thought, like, well, what kind of relationship would I need to be in with another human being that I would even consider catching a grenade from that person? I mean,
it's symbolism, right?
Excuse me?
It's symbolism, if I recall. I don't think he's actually.
Oh, but what I'm saying is, it's a song about a romantic relationship in which you would do anything for this person, but that person doesn't necessarily return that same kind of sentiment. And so for me, I wanted to think about, I rewrote the song from a perspective of like, what kind of relationship would I be that I would do so much for a person? And I'm just not romantic. So no, even my husband, I've been married for 27 years. I'm like, dude, I'm not catching a grenade for you. Like,
You're on your own.
but my children, being a parent, I'm like, okay, as a parent. And so it was a fun activity. I'm going to try to find it when we share it. So I rewrote the Bruno Mars song from the perspective of a parent-child relationship. And it's kind of funny and was fun. And that's the end of my mini lesson, which is taking me over time. So hopefully, let me go back to Blackboard. You will be able to see this right now. It's in the mini lesson section on Blackboard. And I put a link from this week to it. So it's right here and you can get to it. So what I want to do now for the next half hour, we will come back at 2:03. Now we're gonna come back. Yeah, we're gonna come back at like 2:13. So what I want you to do is to get some writing time. I'm gonna go ahead and generate the groups I'm gonna put you in. I'm gonna send you to groups. And in that group, I'm gonna ask you to take the first 25 minutes of this time to write. And again, you can write, you can start this homework activity, you can do something in the book, you can start this is your writing time. Hopefully it'll be something that's useful for class. And then you're going to come back together 10 minutes and share what you did, and then we're going to report out.
How long?
Are there any questions about that?
How long are we writing for?
Yeah, we're going to get 25 minutes to write and then about 10 minutes to talk. So your session, your group session is going to be what, 25, 30, 35 minutes. And then you're going to come back to the big group. So when I put you, I'm going to pause this.
I have a quick question.
Okay, go ahead.
For the homework that you just had up on the screen, is that supposed to be posted in Blackboard? Like in the...
Oh, you're the second person who asked me. So I am going to address that.
Okay.
So yeah, and I don't, so as we come back off of that writing time, and I just want to repeat for the record here, I didn't have anything for you to report out as a group. I just wanted you to be able to take that 20, 25 minutes and write something. Usually when I give you the writing time, it's usually free. I'll give you some guidelines to say, hey, you might want to spend time on X, Y, and Z. But it's usually up to you. And then when you report out with each other, it's literally just to practice sharing what you did with other writers. It's not really, let's critique anything. So keep that in mind. And then other times when I put you into the small groups, I was like, hey, talk about this activity, and then we'll do the report out. So hopefully we're getting a rhythm for that kind of those different discussions and writing time. So for the activity, the song activity, I'm really just asking you for that little short explanation for if you, when you do the analysis of a song, for you, what kinds of writing techniques that you discover that you attach with probably got this song in your head. And then I'll just put a link up for you to just add that. And I'm probably just gonna do that as a discussion board so that everyone can just see the songs that people chose and your takeaways from it. But the idea, and I don't have that link available right now, but I'll make it available right after class during our office hours. So when we come back to class, and actually I'll do that more in my recap. So yes, there will be a place for you to post your takeaway from that activity. But for now, what I'd just like to see is your report out for either how you spent your time, what you thought of the Renee remix. I just want to point out that the focus really isn't so much on the song itself, but the composition of. And so you may select a song and you do want to find out who wrote the song, not necessarily who sung the song. I know there's a collaboration between, the lyrics, like who composed the lyrics and how they are delivered. So if you pick a song by, I don't know, can't think of anybody, Taylor Swift, and she didn't write it, I want you to think about the writing of it. So you may want to find out who composed the song. So with that, it's not so much about the song, but trying to think about the craft that comes from creating hit songs. So these are some writing techniques. So with that, I like to get people to report out either how you spent your time, what you talked about, or that assignment, and then you can put your hand down. And this is not do or die. So if you don't have anything to report out, it's fine. We only have 14 minutes of class left.
And the devil said, I'll start this show.
All right, I am recording this, Jamie M. So every time you turn your camera on, your little beautiful mug is gonna be out there for everyone to see.
I really don't. If I'm being honest, I just kind of worked on a novel I've been writing, Ninja in the Neon City.
The question is how you spent your time, and if you are working on something, remember for this course is how you're applying at least what we've gotten so far out of chapters 1, 2, and 3. Of course, if you've worked ahead, you can think about it in those other avenues too. So thank you. Anybody else?
I just began to work on the chapter 3 practice log.
Okay.
So I read some of the chapter and then answered a few of the questions.
All right. Thank you.
I began my chapter 3 writing logs as well.
All right.
I did the song lyric analysis, and yeah.
Okay. So, what did you think of that? I mean, again, the mini lessons are there. I mean, if you did start on that or even thinking about looking at so far, I know it's really quick. Are you finding that useful as thinking about the choices you have as a writer?
Yeah, it was fairly simple to do. I really just looked up the poetry terms and just saw how that would apply to my song.
All right, cool. Oh, all right, that makes sense. Other people? This activity is still sort of like in the creative reading because we want to read creatively in order to apply it to our writing. I think Cole, were you going to say something next? No.
I can go.
Oh, okay.
I also did the lyrics assignment. I did it on Katy Perry's "Roar," which is a classic.
Good choice.
Yeah, thanks. And I found it pretty helpful for my own writing, just in like, because I could see, I like using alliteration in my own stuff, like as much as I can. That's one of my favorite sort of writer's tools. And I could see it in this one. The one thing I thought that was, I don't know, not so helpful about this project was that, a lot of times it's not just the lyrics that like get you hooked on the song. It's like the actual music itself and the like composition of that.
Yes.
So that was all.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why I wanted to point out that when we're talking about this sort of mixed media, the composition of the music is important. And so for this, it's kind of hard to, you kind of account for that. And it was just it was a fun activity because I didn't have a problem with the music. I was just irritated in general. And so it was a way for me to get out my angst, but also end up learning something and appreciating the art of songwriting in a way I hadn't before, especially for someone who writes hits for other people. So then one of the other things I did was I started to look up songwriters, like they're great songwriters. So Smokey Robinson, by the way, is like 100 years old. He started Motown in like the 1950s. He's written so many hits for so many people. And this activity, because I started looking at great songwriters and started looking at the things great songwriters did. So for me, it kind of got bigger. And as a creative writer, it's something that I do time to time to like, well, who are great songwriters and why are they so? And that's looking at their choices in lyrics. And I separate it from the composition. But those of you who know about music, you can do this same technique with music because music is a composition and there are choices musicians have in putting notes together. So as a practice in like critical reading and analysis. So that's all this is sort of for. Do I have any other people? I see hands still up. If you want to report out, fine. If you don't, just put your hand down. There, I will hold no grudges. Okay. I have 3 hands still up. What do you want to report out?
I did the song one as well, and you and I actually spoke about that for a moment in our little breakout room. But I kind of misunderstood it, and I definitely delved really deep into the 20 lines that the song that I chose actually was. And I actually wrote a good 2 pages about what the song itself was about and why he chose his specific words. And I also agree with I think it was Zane that said the music itself is really what gets me to have that song stuck in my head. It's not necessarily the lyrics. For me, it was what the song itself was about, the theme, along with the music itself, that really has like that emotional connection that I resonated with and hooked onto.
I'm gonna say, there's not like too many wrong ways you can do this. Like, as long as you get something out and it gets you thinking critically about choices, because looking for word choice too is a building block, is a technique, because we are always searching for terms and words, and so it's kind of a complicated thing. And when it comes to music, I'll say this again, like, there's some things that I know because of music, and there's some horrible songs. And my husband and I, when we were younger, would get into this because he used to listen to the 2 Live Crew. I know he can hear me. Oh my gosh, so misogynistic, like horrible. So we were getting these arguments. He's like, well, I'm not really listening to the lyrics. I'm listening to the music. And my response to that was like, yeah, I love the beat too. However, if you are drawn into something just for the music, the lyrics are in your head too. So how do you reconcile that? And then once you actually start to stop and like, I am paying attention to these lyrics, like, oh, this stuff is horrible. I'm like, yeah. So, but yeah, all that stuff is sort of, and it works together. Just how do we think critically? Let me see one hand up. Bailey, you want to take us out, or you want to just lower your hand? It's up to you.
Sure, I'll go. I did the writing project for chapter 3, and then while we were waiting to talk, I thought about the song that I despise the most. It's Justin Bieber's Baby. And when I first heard it, I couldn't understand why everyone was so obsessed with it, and I've never been a fan, and it just fills me with rage every time I hear the song or his name. And considering my friend went through SEER school, which is a survive, evade, resist, escape in the Army, and he told me that they would literally use that as a torture method when they were tied to a chair, just repeat for hours. So there's a legitimate reason I hate it.
Well, I thank you, because I love it when I get someone who's like, yeah, I hate this song. This is a way for me to figure this out. But also, it also helped me think about audience. It helps me think about a lot of things like who's the audience for this? And I just wasn't part of Bruno Mars's audience because of my life experience and things like that. But my teenage daughters, they were like dead hook and sinker, his audience. And that was helpful as a writer to think about audience and what appeals and what's not. So however you, take on this challenge, it's about how do we think about some of the very simple building blocks we have as writers. So actually going back to the first mini lesson on writing well, it's about clarity, brevity, simplicity. And most of the songs we like they're simple, but the development of them, you have to know a lot about the people, the audience, emotions, all that kind of jazz. So as we in class today, what I want you to do, if you don't already know, before you post your exit comment, it would be very helpful. I'm going to try again to put us into these groups. So in your exit comment, if you could at least, please for sure, add the writing project that you would be ready to talk about on Thursday. And then Thursday, if you know what you're going to do for chapter 3, you can add that one too. But you can also tell me chapter 3 at the beginning of class. But I need chapter 2 for sure. So remember, your exit comments, they should show that you were present. Some takeaway or question or resource would be great. I did put in the chat area, I just wanted to practice. It let me upload a file. So you can get the mini lesson online, but I also uploaded it in the chat area to see if it works. So you can download it there too. Our questions for next class, this list is going to grow over time. So it's just, I'm gonna add questions for each chapter. So the first set of questions actually comes from the preface. So throughout the semester, I want you to think about these. And of course, as we engage with each chapter. So for chapter 3, we're kind of looking at your own set of techniques and building blocks. After chapter 3, they're going to focus on like specific types of writing components and techniques. So for this chapter, what kinds of building blocks do you have? Thinking about chapters 1 and 2. So these are the questions, and I'll just like add questions as we go. And then we're preparing for Thursday. My plan is to start class on Thursday. You have the whole week here. Of course, it might change once we get started. But when we come to class on Thursday, I'm not gonna spend too much time. We're just gonna get logged in, and we're gonna do a full class activity. Report out on what everyone did for the song activity. And then I'll probably just change this link to a place where you can go and just post your song and your explanation. So I do want a small explanation like this in the example. So I'll just make a discussion link. I'll turn this into a discussion link. But the plans for how we're gonna spend our time on Thursday are here. I plan on giving you 25 minutes or so of writing time, and that's not gonna be where you will talk to each other. And then we're gonna come back and discuss the Writing 3 project. So this is why, if you don't know today what writing project, you can let me know at the beginning of class, and then I can work on doing groups. So I am going to try to preset these groups, and for that I will have to use your GRCC emails, and I'm gonna see how logistically horrible that experience is, and hopefully it's not too bad, and that way I can get groups set up before we start class for some of these discussions. And then what's due, again, not Thursday, you have till Sunday, submit chapter 3 writing log, and then you have this reflective learning. And that's the week, and I will see you on Thursday. A couple people have had problems logging into Zoom. So we use the exact same Zoom link. You can actually bookmark it, or if I don't have it up, it's the same link. So you can use any one of these links to get back to Zoom. The catch here though is at 2:30, I will usually log off of class because I have to use the office hours link. So if you want to talk to me after class, you have to come and join the office hours link because that's for students across all my classes. That's all I have. Thanks you to the few who lasted to 2:29.
Have a good day.
Bye.